So we are back. Now today is what? October 24, 2015. And we are going to continue with our study of the seven trumpets. Last week we did the seals, right? The seven seals. And the seven seals is also connected with the seven churches, because studying the seals, you really have to study the churches, because they're all connected. Because the seals is what? The history and the world that is affecting the church. And the churches is the internal history. The seals is the external history, right? Right. So from there we went to the trumpets, and we did the first four trumpets. Can you? Not yet. We are not at the woes yet, because we are at the first four trumpets. And why was the trumpets given? Because Rome has enacted a Sunday law, right? Right. And because of that, they have committed national apostasy, so they will have national ruin. And it started with the splitting, right? The splitting of the empire into the east and west. And then the first four trumpets started to blow. Okay, somebody tell me who's the first trumpet? Alaric with the Goths, right? And then the second trumpet is Genseric with the Vandals. And the Vandals came from the sea, right? And they were attacking Rome, and it's like in Daniel 11, it's the ships of Chittim that's attacking the ships of Tarshish, right? The ships of Chittim are attacking the ships of Tarshish. And in our time, the ships of Tarshish will fall in the ocean and sink because of the east wind. That's already predicted, right? So that's how we connect it. So that's the second trumpet is very important. All the trumpets are important. And the third trumpet is Attila the Hun, right? And Attila Hun is actually also called a star that fell from heaven. And he's the scourge of God, and he's also the bitter. He causes the waters to be bitter, and he's called wormwood. And the fourth one is what? Odoacer of the Herod. Okay. All right. And after that, the Empire of Rome falls, because the last emperor is, what's the name of the last emperor? Theodosius. Can't remember the last emperor. But anyway, the last emperor was taken out, and then the first king became. The first king is Theodoric. It's actually one of the Goths, and it was replaced by Theodoric. And Theodoric was actually helped by the emperor of the Byzantines. All right, came in, and he's Ostrogoth. And then eventually the Ostrogoths were taken out by Belisarius, the general of Justinian, right? And how Ostrogoths was removed out of Rome and create a vacancy for the papacy is how the papacy is going to fall also, because he is taken out of Rome, right? And he was taken out of Rome by another general, right? It was Berthier, and the general of France. Okay, so now we're ready for the fifth trumpet. Okay, all right, the fifth trumpet. Oh, this is actually fifth and sixth trumpet. The more I study, the more we're going to study about the fifth and sixth trumpet, the more and more deeper it is, because we've done Bible studies. When's the last time we studied the trumpets? Oh, it was a while back in St. Pete, right? Remember? When we went to St. Pete and we did right, very briefly. It was quite quick, right? It was quite quick. So we're gonna do it very slowly, and if you have any questions, make sure we get it answered, because we don't want anybody actually, being left behind with their understanding. Okay. The first verse is in Revelation 8 verse 13. Okay. Oh, let me go up to the slides. Yeah, I know. Oh, you're watching it too? Okay. All right, I go. Let me just go back with the. You're actually watching it live.
Are you live streaming?
It's live streaming. It's
Yeah,
live
there you are.
It's live streaming.
Let me see if I can.
It's already live streaming on YouTube. Oh, you better turn down the volume so we won't have a. Okay, so this is the 5th and 6th trumpet, and our first verse is Revelation 8 verse 13. Oh, let me go such that I will be seen on the left lower hand side. Now you can see me on the left lower hand side? Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. And I beheld, oh, well, I'm going to look at the drop frame rates. Right now it's 0, so you're fine. Okay. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpets of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound. Okay, so it says here, there's another angel saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe. How many woes?
3 woes.
3 woes. And the 3 woes is by reason, it is because of the other voices of the trumpets of the 3 angels. There's going to be 3 angels that are coming, and there's going to be 3 woes. And the woes are because of what? Because of what? What did it say? Because of the trumpets. So the woe, is the woe the trumpet? No, it's actually, it's because of the trumpets. The woes. Okay, so when we see, let's see. And they cast dust, Revelation 18 verse 19. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, this is Revelation 18. Remember? The city is going to sink. The city is going to sink. That great city is going to sink in the what? In the river, in the waters. And they cast their dust. And these are the princes and the merchants, and they're looking at that great city. And that city is going to sink. Right? And they say, alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason, okay, by reason. The same thing, the same reason up here, by reason here, is the same by reason here. It is the word ikex in Greek, all right? By reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour she is made desolate. Okay, ikex is different from another word. You'll see this. Yeah, alas, alas. It keeps saying it's alas, alas multiple times, and alas is the same root as woe. So when that great city is going to fall and going to sink in the waters, it's woe also. Alas, alas. Alas means OY, which is the same thing. It's G3759. So woe up here is the same as alas. It's the same word. It's actually the same word. The translators just made it differently. Yeah, but woe is the same as alas. All right. Okay. By reason. So what does it mean by reason? Woe is because of,
Yeah,
due to. So one is the effect of the cause. It is cause and effect. All right. Now you compare this to another word, Hebrews 5 verse 14. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason, right, by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. All right, you eat meat, and is it because of the use of your senses that you are exercise of good and faith, or through the use of your senses you now exercise discernment?
No, through.
Right, because this is a different word.
Yeah. It's a
You see,
dia.
this
The
by
access
reason
is
is actually, it's G1223, it means it's dia. All right, this by reason,
Is
even though the translators use by reason, it is also by reason. These by reasons are different. This by reason is actually through. So by strong meat, right? By strong meat, I mean, when you eat strong meat, through
your senses.
through your senses, you will discern good and evil, right? Okay, so there's a difference. You have to understand that this is actually reason and cause. Yeah, cause and effect. This is cause and effect, okay?
Well, so there won't be a verse for the meters.
Right. For the
Because
meters.
they don't say, oh, no, then I can discern both good and evil.
Yeah. Yes, the difference is
Well, those who are the surface readers.
not.
The surface readers will understand that, oh, it's okay, I can eat meat. Those who actually dig deep and down and into the real meaning, it says, okay, those who know prophecy,
Strong meat of
right?
the Bible.
Strong meat of the Bible is prophecy,
That's
right? Okay. Okay, so by reason in here is actually a channel of an act, right? By reason, right? So, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So the fifth trumpet sounded, and a star falls from heaven. So is this Satan? It is not Satan, because remember,
one word.
wormwood also is a star that falls from heaven, right? So when you continue on to verse 12, this is the continuation, because the fifth angel, which is the fifth trumpet, it continues all the way to verse 12. And then after that, it says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. So it tells you that the first woe is part of the fifth trumpet. All right? The first woe is part of the fifth trumpet. But the first woe is not the fifth trumpet. The first woe is because of the first trumpet. The first woe is the effect of the fifth trumpet by reason, right? Okay. All right. So who is the star in the third trumpet that fell out of heaven is called wormwood. We did that earlier.
Yeah.
This is Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun is also a star that fell from heaven. See? There fell a great star from heaven. So this here, the fifth angel, the star that fell from heaven, is not Satan. This is a human. This is actually a false prophet, right? It's a false prophet. Okay. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So what is the bottomless pit? The bottomless pit is the abyss. All right, the abyss, G12, abusos. Okay, in the Hebrew word it's called tehom. Wow, I probably just butchered that translation, the pronunciation. All right?
They
Abusos. So abusos is the abyss. Okay. And what does that mean? Luke 8, verse 30 to 31. And Jesus asked him, saying, What is thy name? And he said, Legion. Talking to who?
What's in the
Yeah, the evil spirit that was in people that was possessed. And Jesus asked the evil spirit, which is actually used to be his angel that used to be in heaven, right? He created that angel. The angel was a true angel until that angel fell, and now it's in this person. And they besought him, and that he would not command them to go out and into the deep. The deep is where the Satan is going to be put. And Revelation 20, verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years. So is this that is in the bottomless pit?
That's Satan.
Satan.
Yeah.
And is he actually held there by chains?
No.
How is he held there? By circumstance, right? Because he has no more what?
More people.
No more people to tempt. No more people to tempt. Right? They are either dead or they are already taken to heaven. And what is there? There's no light. Because there's no light there, there is no, right? There's darkness, and the darkness was in the deep, in the abyss, right? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Is this a separate God, the Holy Spirit, or is this the Spirit of God? Right? Literally, the Bible says Spirit of God. And in the deep, where there is a bottomless pit, where there is no light, there is darkness, right? So darkness is the lack of light, right? Darkness is the lack of light. Okay. And when Revelation 11. All right, we did this, right? Remember, we did this last night, and we're doing it again. Revelation 11, verse 7 to 8. And when they shall have finished their testimony. All right. When they have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit. Who are they? Remember what we were reading last night? Who are they that finished their testimony? Verses 5 and 6 and all that. Who are they? The two witnesses that were in sackcloth, right? And who are the two witnesses that are in sackcloth? During 1260 years, the Old and the New Testament, they were in sackcloth. They were in hiding, right? And they were hiding because they were in sackcloth. In the 1260 years, the 3.5 years, the 3.5 times, the times, and dividing of times, that was during the Dark Ages, right? Okay. When they have finished their testimony, the beast that cometh out of the bottomless pit. So out of a bottomless pit now comes a beast, right? This is different than smoke, right? So a beast, what is a beast that comes out of a bottomless pit? What is a beast? Yeah, a national power. So how does the beast out of the bottomless pit can come smoke, and then also can come a beast? So a beast is a nation. So what is a nation after the 1260 years? The 1260 years, when the Bible is actually hidden, there's going to come a beast, right? That shall make war against them, God's people, and overcome them, and kill God's people. And there shall be dead bodies that lie in the street of the great city, which is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. There's a country or a nation that's going to come out after the 1260 years, after around the time of 1798, right? That is going to be called Sodom and Egypt, meaning that they are a what? A two-horned beast. Some people, this is why people get confused. because they say this is America. It's not America, right? I'll just make it easy. We will actually go to Great Controversy, page 268. What comes out of the bottomless pit? When they shall have finished their testimony, the period being the 1260 that ends in 1798, as they are approaching the termination of their work in obscurity, war was to be made upon them by the power represented as the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit. All right? And what is the definition of that? Is a new manifestation of satanic power. So something that comes out of the bottomless pit is a new manifestation of satanic power. It was not seen before. All right? And who was this new manifestation of satanic power? It is, according to the words of prophet, it has the power of satanic origin and character, and it makes war upon the Bible, and it has the atheism of Pharaoh and the licentiousness of Sodom. Right. That's France. France is a two-horn power that gave its military power to set up the papacy under Clovis. Right, 496, 508. Right, 496, Clovis turned Catholic. 508, he gave us his power, and now start giving his power to take out the three horns, right? Yeah, take out the three horns. And then that's the beginning of the 1290, 508, all the way to 1798. So that's the 1290 years, right? And at the end of 1798 is when France, which is a two-horn power, will take down the papacy by sending Berthier to the Vatican and removing Pope Pius IV. Pope Pius IV. Okay. Just like Israel, which has Israel is a two-horn power. How is it a two-horn power? Israel had a north and a south, right? In the beginning, David, but it's a two-horn power. Right? It's divided into the north and south. It's a two-horn power. What about Judah? Is Judah a two-horn power? Yeah, because Judah is Judah and Benjamin. Right? So how did Babylon raise up to its power? When it conquered a two-horn power. Power was given to him because it conquered, right? So he received Babylon's power came from Egypt. It came from Israel, because the crown was transferred, right? The crown of Israel was transferred spiritually to Babylon. So the power is given by the two-horn power of Israel to Babylon. Yes.
Go back to 508 and 538.
Right.
So Clovis becomes what? In 496, Clovis becomes Catholic.
That's right.
And then 508,
He gives his power to the papacy, his military power.
and then what's 538?
Oh, 538 is when, so during those years between 508 and 538, the papacy now has the power using the other countries. Right, the other countries will start giving their military power, because now the Lombards will fight for the papacy, and all the other countries will give their military power, such that now they first took out the they took out the Vandals, they took out the Visigoths, the Vandals, and the Heruli, right?
Starts with 538 is the height.
And 508 is because 508 is specifically, did they actually take out all of Heruli? No, they kicked out Heruli out of Rome, but the Heruli was still there, was still around. They kicked the powers of the Heruli out of Rome, so that Rome will be vacant, and now the papacy can sit there. So it has to be taking them out of Rome.
So 1260 starts at 538.
538.
If it goes back 1260 and forward.
Right. 1260. So 1260, 538 is actually the bit in the middle of 2520.
Pagan Rome and papacy.
Yeah. You can say, that's the transgression of desolation and abomination of desolation. Right. Okay. But it's still continually persecuting God's people. Right. But now under a different name. But that's why it's called a continual. It's a continual means tamid, hat tamid. That's why it says daily. Daily means continually. Daily persecuting God's people. They continually persecute God's people. That's why the daily. So when you understand daily means continually persecuting God's people, that's so different than daily sacrifice. You're completely on the wrong track. All right.
So papacy is setting up his power for 30 years,
Right.
from 508 to 538. Then 538 to
Then from 538 until 1798, that is 1260 years, right? 1260 years is 3.5 times. So just to recap for Kathy, is that the papacy sets up his power for 30 years, and then for 3.5 times, he will actually be able to reign supreme. Just like Jesus, for 30 years, he sets up in his mother's house, and then for 3.5 years, he will what? He will actually go through his ministry to the Jews. And what happens at the end of 3.5 years? He dies. But after that, did he remain dead? No, he risen up. What about the papacy? In 1798, after his 3.5 times, he died. But did he remain dead? He rises up again. So that's the understanding of 1290. It is so beautiful because it's a copycat of Christ. Right.
Of course.
That makes sense. But if
Right.
you get to 1290, I got to 1260, but I
Right.
didn't. My words the connection to the.
So 1290. Yeah, 1290 is so important.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome.
The understanding of 1290 is actually what makes you a wise virgin, according to Daniel 12. All right. Okay. All right. So we continue now. So that's France. This is right in the middle of Paris, right? Right in the middle of Paris, where they actually had the guillotine, right? Yeah. Off with your head.
Oh, that was Mary. That was Queen Mary.
Okay, sorry, that's wrong. That was wrong. That was in England. Okay, now, for an exposition of this trumpet, we shall again draw from the writings of Mr. Keith. Okay, we usually just read through this. Okay, just continue to read. But we don't have to go that fast.
Yeah.
We have to figure out who Mr. Keith is. Who is Mr. Keith? Mr. Keith is actually Alexander Keith. He's a Scottish minister who wrote the book called Signs of the Times. Signs of the Times, it's not the whole book. The name of the book is Signs of the Times, as denoted by the fulfillment of historical prediction traced down from the Babylonian captivity to the present time. It published in 1832. And this book has been heavily quoted by all our pioneers, and even Ellen White, and they quote this book many times, specifically about history. And it is actually by Alexander Keith, and he belongs to the Free Church of Scotland. Anyway, all right, so that's Alexander Keith. So anytime you see somebody quoting Keith, yeah, that's Alexander Keith. Okay. All right. And Keith says there is scarcely so uniform an agreement among interpreters concerning any part of the apocalypse as respecting the application of the fifth and sixth trumpets, or the first and second woes, to the Saracens and the Turks. So the Protestants know exactly the fifth and the sixth trumpet, the first and the second woe. They already know this, right? Before the Adventists knew, right? Yeah, and it is known from all along, and that it is the Saracens and the Turks. Who are the Saracens? The Saracens are the Mohammedans, the Muslims, right? That's what they were called in those days. It is so obvious that it can be scarcely misunderstood. It says it is so obvious. Wow. Us sometimes our minds are so degenerate we can't even see it. To him, it's so obvious. Instead of a verse or two designating each, the whole of the 9th chapter of Revelation in equal portions is occupied by the description of both the fifth and the sixth trumpet. The Roman Empire declined as it arose by conquest, but the Saracens and the Turks were the instruments by which a false religion became a scourge of an apostate church. Okay. Which is the false religion that became a scourge of an apostate church? Which is the false religion? Islam became a scourge of Catholics. All right? This is understood all the way back in the 1700s by the Protestants. All right? Okay. And hence, instead of the fifth and the sixth trumpet, like the former, being designated by that name alone, they are called woes. All right. Now this is Uriah Smith quoting from Alexander Keith. All right. Okay. All right. So what happened is now I have to give a little bit of the story now. The story is that let me go here. All right. The story is that Islam rises down. Can you see this right down here? It's all the way down here. Islam rises from Mecca and Medina here in the Arabian desert. So that's why people say, wow, it is actually a bottomless pit. There's nothing there. Okay. Comes out here. And during the time of Muhammad, it spreads. The red part is when at the time of Muhammad and when it spreads. And then Muhammad dies and he has caliphs, right? The leaders. They are called caliphs. And there's 4 caliphs. The first caliph is his father-in-law, which is Abu Bakr, because he married Abu Bakr's daughter. So Abu Bakr is the first caliph after Muhammad. And there's several others. Now, number 1, 2, 3, and number 4 is Ali, which is his son-in-law. So there's 4 caliphs, okay? But anyway, we'll get to that because it's actually important to know these things. Because if we want to know, okay, we said, okay, what's happening? What's the story of Islam? What is happening out there? We actually need to know a little bit of what is actually their history, all right? So then they started a dynasty in the 600s called the Umayyad dynasty, and that came. Their capital was in now Damascus. So it's around this area in Syria. And this yellow part, this orange part is when they started conquering in all kinds of areas. And the Umayyad dynasty became very strong. They went and conquered North Africa. They tried to conquer here. Over here would be Constantinople, but they were not able to conquer Constantinople itself. But then what happens? They went across the Strait of Gibraltar, right here into Spain and Portugal, right? And they were called the Moors, right? Right. Yeah, and the Spanish that became Muslim were I guess the Moors or something like that. Right.
Yeah, like
because they conquered the Visigoths. Remember the Visigoths? The Visigoths were kicked down all the way into Spain. But they became very weak. So when the Muslims came, the Umayyad dynasty, they came up this way, and they conquered this area, which is the Visigoths, and they continued. That's why the Spanish are not all. The Spanish is a mixture of Arabs and yeah, Spanish, because they don't, obviously they don't look Norwegian.
no.
The Spanish are a mixture of
Yeah.
yeah, the Visigoths and the Arabs. All right, that's why the Spanish are. And then they went up and tried to conquer all the way into France, and they were held back. All right, they came from this side also, and they were held back. They were held back, but they were able to successfully go all the way into Armenia, and all the way to India. All right, and that's how they become. Now, how is it that they're a scourge to an apostate church? Because without them,
Yeah.
Catholicism will conquer the whole world.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
That if there was no Islam, Catholicism would be all over the world.
God's people will be God's people will be percent.
Just think about that. Right. Okay. So that's why they're called the scourge. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we have just a summary. Okay. Huh? Is it darker?
Last week.
Well, that's because it was so bright. Now you can see that there's a little bit more of contrast here. So Constantine, 312, 321, 312. 312, he made Christianity religion of the empire.
Our empire.
And then 321, 312, and then 321.
Uh-huh.
All right. 321, he made it now a national Sunday law, right? In the Roman Empire. Okay. And that was an apostasy, national apostasy. So national apostasy has to follow by national ruin. And 325, he had the Council of Nicaea. Right? We remember Council of Nicaea, right? Easter and right. And also the Godhead. Okay. All right. And what happened? Now national ruin starts, because now Rome, he left Rome and he took his seat to Constantinople. So it's now divided into two. Right. He divided into two. Okay. And Constantine has 3 children. That's why it's the Rome now is always says a third part of Rome is one. This is a third. This is a third. This is a third. Okay. All right. And it became the Byzantine Empire on the east. Remember, we're talking about the east, right? Because what happens on the west side, Clovis was converted to Catholicism on the west, because Clovis was from France and he gave his military power to pluck out the Heruli, the Vandals and the Ostrogoths. All right, but 508, Arthur of England also became Catholic. So 508, and also at 508, Anastasius, which is the emperor of Byzantine Empire, he actually was not. His general actually was on the side of the Catholics, and his general rebelled against him. So this is the first time that the Catholics actually started to show their power. They're going to rebel against an emperor. Okay. Eventually, Justinian was the one that decided that we have too many heretics attacking us. We got to go and fight these heretics. All right. But who is now going to be able to call them heretics? We have to have a corrector of heretics, and it's going to be Pope John II. On 533, Justinian calls Pope John II the corrector of heretics, right? And because of that, he basically instituted a Sunday law in the empire again, okay? And in 534, Belisarius came, fought the Vandals, and then also the Ostrogoths. Okay, right. Belisarius. This is purple because it's part of Byzantine. Battalion, because now he's on this side now, attacking, trying to pluck out these. Right. Continue. So between 508 and 538, these three what do you call horns are being plucked out. 508 to 538.
And isn't that the reason those three horns were taken out?
Right.
God had this.
Because they were Arians.
Yes.
Right. So they are heretics.
Yes.
And we have to have a corrector of heretics.
Exactly. And that's if they didn't believe in what they were believing that why they both agreed with.
And will history be repeated? Yes. Right. So make sure you are on the right side of that argument, okay? All right. Okay, so we continue. Now that's basically where we were at before. Now we have to introduce a new power. Okay, who's this? This is the Parthian power and the Sassanid Empire. This is the empire that was out here somewhere in Iran. The Parthian Empire has been around even since 90 BC. These are the powers that have been in Iran that were fighting the Seleucids. Remember who the Seleucids were? That's one of the generals from where? From Alexander the Great, right? Seleucus was one of them. Remember, I'm not going to quiz you on who the other three were, but Seleucus, right? He became what? He became the king of the what? North or south? He became the king of the north, right? He became the king of the north, right? Because who became the king of the south? Whoever has Egypt, whoever has Babylon is the king of the north, right? Seleucus was the king of the north, and it was the Seleucids, and the Seleucids were already fighting the kingdom in Iran, and the kingdom of Iran way back then was already the Parthian Empire, and the Parthian Empire was eventually became the Sassanid Empire.
I remember the Shah of Iran claiming that.
Yeah, they're Parthian, and so maybe that's why they speak Farsi.
Yes.
Parthian, right. And these were obviously considered heretics, right? Because what was their religion? Okay, RC, don't say it. I'm gonna ask everybody else. What were these people in Iran? What was their religion? Oh no. No, this was before. This is in the old days. Islam only came out in the 600s. This was way back before Islam came. Right. The Parthian Empire and the Sassanid Empire. What was their religion? It actually, they worship fire, and they actually... No. Zoroastrianism. For the people who, the kids, they have to study Zoroastrianism because that's part of world history that they have to study. Right. It is a monotheistic. Remember, it's a monotheistic religion. That's why
Is it Babylon?
Babylon, I think they actually believe in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually believe. And the thing about it's a monotheistic religion.
Yeah. One God.
One God.
One God.
It doesn't believe in a Trinity.
Yeah.
Just like, what's another famous one monotheistic religion? Jews, the Hebrews.
Yeah.
The Hebrews believe there's only one God, right? Yeah, there's one God. Do we believe there's only one God? Yeah, we believe there's only one God and a Son, right? And a Son of God, right? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that, and the heretics, I make it in green. And the Heruli, Vandals, and the Ostrogoths, they're the heretics, and these are the heretics. These believe in a monotheistic Zoroastrian religion. Okay. All right. Okay. So we continue. It gets a little bit more complicated now, because now the Byzantine Empire, we're starting to go down to the year 600. In the meantime, this empire is constantly at war with Rome, which is now Byzantine. Even with Byzantine, it's always fighting. They're always fighting. Even from the year 95 BC, they're always fighting against Rome. First, they fight against the Roman Empire. Then now they're fighting against the Byzantine Empire. So even down here, until the time of Maurice and Chosroe the First, all right? Chosroe the First, what happened is now they have an alliance now, and they said, okay, we're getting tired of fighting, and we are now at truce. They had a truce. Chosroe is the king of Sassanid Empire. He's the king. And Byzantine Empire, he's the emperor. So he's basically this is the emperor of the Sassanid Empire right here. So this is Persian. This is in Persia, all right? Is in Iran. Okay, there's a big power there. And here Maurice is in Byzantine Empire. So this is the Byzantine Empire right here. This is kind of you can't really see the color here, right? Over here is the Western Rome here. This is where now the 4 kingdoms and the 10 kingdoms are, right? Okay. But anyway, we go back. Maurice and Chosroe have a truce. All right? What happens next? Now I have to do this from memory. I have to refresh my memory from this morning. I had to go back and restudy all of this. This is actually very interesting.
How in the world did they become Muslim?
Okay, not yet.
Oh.
You're jumping ahead, Anthony. You're jumping ahead. Right now, there's still Zoroastrians.
Yeah.
There's still Zoroastrians, okay? Zoroastrianism. They believe in Zoroastrianism. Yeah, we can go into what Zoroaster is a little bit later. All right, so what happened is now Phocas, which is one of the generals, he decides to have a mutiny, or what do you call that? Now he rebels. He rebels against Maurice. All right, what happens is Maurice, all right, Maurice here actually has a truce with Chosroe. And Maurice is actually the father-in-law of Chosroe II. So Chosroe II here has a relationship with Maurice. So they're actually in good terms. So married Maurice's daughter, all right? Chosroe II, right? But Phocas rebels. He rebels against Maurice. And Phocas wins, and Maurice is beheaded. Maurice is beheaded. And Phocas now says, okay, well, there's a lot of powers here. I'm in the middle, and I have to have alliances. So what does he do? He calls to the Pope and says, Pope, you are now the universal bishop. Okay, just think about this.
Who's giving power?
He gives now power to the Pope. And he calls them now the Pope, you are now the universal bishop. You are not just, this is calling a universal Sunday law.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Right. Over here is actually, up here is, you're a corrector of heretics. But now you're even better. You're the universal bishop. Wow. Okay. Now Heraclius becomes the emperor. Heraclius the emperor, and Chosro, because his father-in-law has been murdered by Phocas, Chosro decides to go and war against Heraclius, because Heraclius now is emperor. Okay,
What
and
happened to Pocas?
So what was
Phocas, I can't remember the history, that's a little detail that I kind of, yeah, so maybe the son or what, anyway, Heraclius is now the successor of Phocas. So Chosro goes to war against Byzantine, and he goes to war and he takes pretty much all this area right here, which is Turkey, Syria, all the way down to Jerusalem, and all the way down to Egypt. They used to belong to all the Sassanid Empire. All this area right here used to belong to Sassanid Empire. I mean, to the Byzantine Empire. Now the Sassanid Empire under Chosro, he takes them all. And the Byzantine Empire becomes very weak now. All right? Okay. All right. And we continue. There's a lot of detail. I'm actually skipping a lot of detail, but right now it may be going a little over your head. Yeah, but it's okay. At least you heard it, so that when we go over this again, it won't be too foreign. All right? Okay. Now this is actually on the internet. We can go on the internet. But anyway, right. What happened is Chosro fights against Heraclius, and the biggest battle is the Battle of Nineveh. The Battle of Nineveh. All right? And at the Battle of Nineveh, Heraclius, oh boy, I gotta get this right. Because initially Chosro wins and gets all the battle. But now here at the Battle of Nineveh, Heraclius wins. Right? And this is actually very, very important. The Battle of Nineveh is very important in history. Okay, and we'll go through there. Why it's very important. Okay. All right. Okay, anyway. Wow, that's a lot. Right? You have to actually see that, because otherwise, it's not going to make any sense to you. And it won't register as to who is Heraclius. Remember, Heraclius he's the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. So he's Catholic, okay? He's Catholic. Because Byzantine Empire, they still consider themselves Rome. They're Catholic. And Chosro is Zoroaster. All right? He initially beats Heraclius and takes a lot of their land, including Jerusalem. And the thing what he did, I'm just going to jump a little bit ahead. He actually captured the Church of the Sacred Sepulchre, and from that church, reportedly, he took out the true cross and took it back with him. Chosro, and he's a heathen. He takes out the icon, which is the cross, and he takes it away with him. Right. So this becomes a pretext for them to go now attack him. Right. And take back the cross. So we got to return it to Jerusalem. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll continue now. See, Constantinople was besieged for the first time after the extinction of Western Empire by Chosroes. Okay, this is Chosro II, right? He goes and attacks because he wants to get revenge for the death of his father-in-law, Maurice, right? So he goes, attacks, and he subjugated the Roman possessions in Asia, Africa. He goes all the way to Constantinople, although he cannot subdue Constantinople, all right? He goes to Greece, Italy, Africa, Tyre, Asia. And the thing is that he wars against Constantinople for 6 years, and he can't conquer it. Eventually, they get tired. They're exhausted. They are
Constantinople
Constantinople is at Turkey, right? Yeah. This is the seat of the Byzantine Empire, right? He cannot. The walls are so impregnable that for 6 years they siege it and it does not fall. But the issue is that they both run out of supplies. So eventually, Heraclius, remember, he's the emperor of Byzantine. He sues for peace and he says, "Okay, just tell us what we gotta pay." Oh, sorry, I just jumped. He's gotta pay 1,000 talents of gold, 1,000 talents of silver, 1,000 silk robes, 1,000 horses, 1,000 virgins. It's incredible. Heraclius subscribed to these ignominious terms. Okay, he says, "Okay, we'll pay it. All right, but I have to have time to collect all these things. All right, give me time." So during the time that he's actually going to collect all these things, he's prepared for an attack. All right, and his pretext for an attack is that you captured our holy cross. Okay, now we're going to have a holy war against you. All right, and he's going to go attack. All right. In the meantime, there's another religion that comes out of the bottomless pit. Oh no, that's too far ahead. That's the 6th. Muhammad is watching at the sidelines, and this is still during this time. Yeah, that's later. Wahhabi is a lot later, but this is Muhammad. Okay, when he first rises, it's around 606. He's watching all these proceedings, and he makes a prophecy, and he watches and sees as Chosroes is basically defeating, because now Heraclius has to give all this tribute, right? So Chosroes is winning. So he actually has a prediction. It's actually in the Quran. The Byzantines have been defeated. Okay, Heraclius have been defeated because now they have to sue for peace in the nearest land, but they, after their defeat, will overcome within 3 to 9 years, and it actually happened. Within 3 to 9 years, the king of the West, even though he is now defeated, he will go and conquer the king of the East. All right, because Rome in the west and Persia in the east, right? So the king of the west, Western powers will fall initially, but then the Eastern powers, right? And the Eastern power first prevail, but then the Western power will overcome. Okay? Does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. To Allah belongs the command before and after. And that day the believers will rejoice. In the victory of Allah, He gives victory to whom He wills, and He is the exalted and mighty, the merciful. Okay, this is the prophecy of Muhammad. Does this sound familiar? Go to Daniel 11:40. Go to Daniel 11:40. Remember, the west will fall first. But then the west will come back and beat the east. So the west is actually the king of the north. The king of the north will first lose, and then after that, the king of the north is going to come back and beat up on the king of the south. Right? Can you read that? 11:40. And at the
time of the end shall the king of the south push him at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over.
Right. So the king of the north is like the king of the western powers, and the east. So initially, the eastern powers will conquer the western powers, but then the king of the south will conquer the king of the north. But then he will come back, and he will come back with a military power, right? Okay, and this will actually fits very well into what actually just has happened. All right. Okay. Now, in the meantime, Muhammad was watching at the sides, and this has been a war. This war has been going on from 602 to 628. Right? It goes on. It's called the Byzantine Sassanid War, 602 to 628. In the meantime, Muhammad is watching this long, drawn-out war, right? This long, drawn-out war, and he's watching, and he's letting those two powers exhaust their strength, right? He's letting them exhaust it, and now he sends a letter, and we actually have this letter. They actually preserved this letter, okay? A letter of Muhammad to Chosroe, the Persian king, right? In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, from Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, to the great Kisra of Iran, right? To Chosroe. Peace be upon him who seeks truth. Okay, this is Chosroe, that's his coin. Who seeks truth and expresses belief in Allah and His Prophet, and testifies that there is no God but Allah, and that He has no partner, and he who believes that Muhammad is His servant and prophet. Under the command of Allah, I invite you to Him. He has sent me from the guidance of all people, so that I may warn them of all His wrath, and may present the unbelievers with an ultimatum. Embrace Islam so that you may remain safe. And if you refuse to accept Islam, you will be responsible for the sins of the Magi. Who's the Magi? You are going to be responsible for the sins of the Magi. Who's the Magi? The wise men of Zoroaster. Right? So Islam actually says you are going to be responsible. So they do not like the Zoroaster religion. Right? So if you don't accept us, you're going to have to suffer for your religion. Or you're going to suffer. So you have to convert to Muslim. You have to convert from Zoroastrianism, right, to Muslim. Right. For Islam. Yeah. Muslim is the people, I guess. Yeah. Islam. Yeah. Yeah, they're actually from the east, right? Because they were actually from that area, because Iraq and Iran, those areas, they called their wise men Magi's. No, he was telling them, okay, you have to convert to Islam, right? You have to convert to Islam. But he was not really supportive of Khosrow, but he predicted that Khosrow will fall. He predicted that Khosrow will fall. And if you don't convert to Islam, you have to suffer for your religion, for what you believe in. Okay? Zoroastrianism. And this is actually a copy, this is what they tell us is a copy of that letter. They still actually preserved it. This is the letter of Muhammad to Chosroe. Yeah, this is actually in Arabic. Right. You can still find it. It's all over the internet. Okay, that's very interesting. The king of Persia despised the obscure Saracen. Okay, the Saracen, the Muslim that came to him, right? He brought him this letter. He despised and derided the message of the pretended prophet of Mecca. Even the overthrow of the Roman Empire would not have opened a door for Mohammedanism, for the progress of the Sassanic army propagators of an imposture to the monarch of the Persians and the Chagans of the Avars, which is a successor of Attila, who have divided the kingdoms of the Caesars. Even though they have fallen, the Saracens, I mean the Muslims, cannot really come in because they're still powerful. All right? The Persian, however, what had to happen was that the Persian and the Roman monarchies had to exhaust each other's strength. And that's the only way that the Muslims can actually come in. And he knew that, so he's just waiting for that to happen. Right? And before a sword was put into the hands of the false prophet, it was smitten from the hands of those who have checked his career and crushed his power. So what happened is the key of the bottomless pit was actually Muhammad was watching and seeing when these two powers were going to be exhaust themselves up, and now the smoke can come out. All right. Okay, we're taking our time doing this. Okay. All right. So now this is the key of the bottomless pit. Now this is the Saracens. Okay. The other thing is that Muhammad wrote another letter. He also wrote a letter to the Roman emperor, which is Heraclius. This is so amazing. This letter is so amazing. And he wrote it in 628. All right? He wrote a letter to Heraclius, the Roman emperor. In the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, from Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, to Heraclius, the great of the Romans. Peace be upon him, he who follows the right path. Furthermore, I invite you to establish peace, and you will have peace. And God will double your reward. And if you reject, you bear the sins of what? Persecuting the Arians. I'm going to make you suffer for you having what? Persecuting the Arians. Now, do you think this is preserved for a reason? Islam is telling you the reason why they exist. Right there. And people of the scripture, right? Who's the people of scripture? Right. Come to actually the Christians. You tell yourself that you're people of the scripture. Okay, you people. He's telling you this to you sarcastically. Come to a word common to you, your God, and us, that we worship none but God, and that we associate nothing in worship with him, and that none of us shall take others as lords besides God. Then if they turn away, say, bear witness that we are Muslims, right? Because they know that these are Trinitarians, right? They're Trinitarians because they persecuted the Arians, right? And you're going to have to suffer for that sin of persecuting the Arians. 628. Oh, yeah, we don't know the year of that one. Yeah. But this one was amazing. When I read this, I could not believe this. Okay. So the Muslim role was already established in this one. In 628, they already told you what they were around for.
All these letters. I'm gonna find them all up like
Yeah, it's right here. I see it.
you found it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The first letter is right here.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to find them.
Oh, it's quite amazing, you know.
It's right.
Now this is why we're going through this very slow, because these studies, you know, I'm telling you, it's not that I came up with these things, you know. These things are widely available. All you gotta do is just
Google.
yeah, just put it together. It's all right there. Google.
I even looked for the trucos, which is the trucos that being captured. So, it's unbelievable. It's here.
Right, and this is actually a picture of it. I mean, this is a reproduction of it, right? And they actually put a seal there that says, okay, this is a true reproduction of it. They put a seal. This is obviously this cannot be the real one, but they put a seal saying, okay, this is a reproduction of that. All right.
Muhammad actually wrote to many of them.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
wrote
yeah.
to many.
Yeah.
Right. But he wrote to Heraclius and Sosros and many others.
Yeah,
Many
he wrote
others.
to, King of Ethiopia,
Oh yeah.
Egypt.
Everybody. But we're interested in the ones to Heraclius and Sosros. All right. Specifically to the one of Heraclius. This is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. All right. This is now Uriah Smith. All right. His commentary. Since the days of Scipio and Hannibal. Okay, wait a minute. We can't just gloss over that.
Yeah.
Who's Scipio and who's Hannibal?
One, I know how to go with John.
Right. Okay,
To
Hannibal.
the Alps.
Okay, Hannibal was the Carthage general. In other words, he came from Africa here, and he wanted to attack Rome, which is here. Rome is right here. So remember, this is the boot,
Yeah.
the boot that kicks Sicily. That's Italy, right? Okay, so he's attacking. He wants to attack Rome, and how does he attack Rome?
And to the Alps.
He goes all the way,
To the Alps.
crosses the Gibraltar, goes to Spain, goes through Swiss, through the Alps with elephants.
Elephants, yeah.
In the winter, Hannibal.
That's the main stable.
Hannibal. He's the Carthaginian general. He's from Carthage. Carthage is Tunisia. Remember? He's from North Africa. He wants to
That's how he's
go
famous
to Rome. Can you see the cursor, right? He wants to go.
all the way.
He actually makes a big
U-turn.
turn over here, goes through the Alps, goes through the Swiss Alps, and comes down with elephants in the middle of winter. And so the Romans were completely caught off guard.
He disguised myself.
No, he's
No,
actually,
Okay, I was gonna say, like, if they keep
yeah,
Oh.
right,
That's
yeah,
what happens. You're staying.
right. Hannibal, and the words were the Romans, they said, Hannibal ante portas. Hannibal is at the gates, right? Hannibal is at the gates, like the barbarians are at the gates. Hannibal is at the gates. They thought it was just the most incredible thing. These elephants coming down from the Alps, and they were completely caught off guard.
Because they've always been attacked with war.
Yeah, they know where their enemy is going to come, but they were completely caught off guard,
What religion is
right? And then Scipio is another general.
From this is a secure
General eventually he defeats the Carthaginians, which is with the same tactic. So the same tactic is going around and outflanking them. You know, yeah, you outflank your enemies, right? This is a military term. You outflank them, right? With a counterattack. You counterattack with a, right? So where are we here? He explored his perilous way through the Black Sea. Okay, so what did he do? Heraclius, he went. No, if he wants to attack directly to Nineveh, he just goes directly here. Boom, right here, right? This is Nineveh right here. He just goes here. Instead, he goes all the way around this way and comes from the backside. No, this is Heraclius. How he attacks Chosroes, right? He attacks Chosroes at the Battle of Nineveh, right? Since the days of Scipio and Hannibal, no bolder enterprise has been attempted. Heraclius, he went and did this maneuver all the way. And in the Battle of Nineveh, he fiercely brought from daybreak to the 11th hour. They fought, and Chosroes basically fell. But the problem is that it was not a true victory because he himself exhausted everything. He had no more power. Okay, so what does that mean? Oh, by the way, Nineveh. That's my Nineveh. Nineveh's wall still is standing
until now.
until ISIL
ISIS is there.
destroyed it.
Yeah.
Destroyed the remnants of the.
We bombed it.
So this is the depiction of Heraclius beheading Chosroes from the old days. You know. Okay. All right. A more complete description of this fact could not be desired than is supplied in the concluding words of the chapter of Gibbon. Who's Gibbon? Edward Gibbon.
Yeah.
He's an
Author.
author, right? He wrote The Decline of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon, right? And this book has been heavily quoted by Uriah Smith, Ellen White, all our pioneers quotes Keith and Gibbon. So you know who Keith and Gibbon, right? Yes. So now, the concluding words of chapter from Gibbon, from which the preceding extracts are taken. Although a victorious army had been formed under the standard of Heraclius, the unnatural effort had been exhausted rather than exercise their strength. Right? While the emperor triumphed at Constantinople or Jerusalem, an obscure town on the confines of Syria, was pillaged by the Saracens, and they cut in pieces some troops who advanced in its relief. Right? These robbers were the apostles of Muhammad. Their frantic valor had emerged from the desert. In the last 8 years of his reign, Heraclius lost to the Arabs some provinces which he had rescued from the Persians. They were so exhausted that now the Arabians,
Okay, now it's our time.
now it's our time.
It's our turn. I don't read. They don't have
So what did it? So when Heraclius won, he decided to take the Holy Cross. And then what did he do? He went back to Jerusalem and he restored the Holy Cross to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Right? This is a picture of him doing that. Right? He's returning that Holy Cross back to Jerusalem. Right? That was his pretext for going. But the issue is that, you know, when you actually see the description, it was a sliver piece of wood.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of wood. And they said, oh, this is part of the cross.
Well, didn't,
Right.
Constantine's mother
Oh, yeah.
had the, I heard was the first one, and then,
And Constantine's mother was the one that actually claimed that the steps,
Yeah.
remember the steps,
The steps
Oh.
down.
was actually miraculously transported somehow from Jerusalem to Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Constantine's mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Holy Church of the Sepulchre is not this one. This is the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
It's this one back here, right?
Yeah.
Someday we're gonna go there, and we're gonna go see, because the Holy Church of the Sepulchre is the sepulchre of, they say, is the sepulchre of who? Where Jesus was, and that's Golgotha. So this is where they claim is Golgotha, back here, and that Holy Church of the Sepulchre is where they actually have the remnant of the cross and of the sepulchre of Jesus. So the pilgrims go there all the time, right? Right? The Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox churches,
I always
they all
believe
go
the
there.
Christ. If you read the history, once they taken the dead body of the cross, they do all the wood and they burn it. That's what history says. So how can you get a sliver of the cross if it's already burned?
Well, that's not the I don't think that's biblical. That's only a tradition, right? Yeah.
so we're gonna have a field trip to Jerusalem?
Oh.
Why?
Yeah, they are. I've been telling us the kids, you know. It was like 10 days. You're going to hike Hakapa, and then you're going to look up.
The spirit of fraud and enthusiasm, whose abode is not in the heavens, was let loose on earth. The bottomless pit needed but a key to open it, and that key was the fall of Chosroes. He had contemptuously torn the letter of an obscure citizen of Mecca, but when from his blaze of glory he sunk into the tower of darkness which no eye could penetrate, the name of Chosra was suddenly passed in oblivion. So the key of the bottomless pit is associated with the rise of Muslim, right? Because Muhammad had the key. And actually, when he actually realized that the two powers have now exhausted themselves, now he can go and attack them, right? Okay, all right. This is actually amazing, you know, the interpretation of this key of the bottomless pit. I just thought, this must be a Catholic version or a Protestant version of this. You know, this angel that has the key releases a smoke and a beast comes out. Oh, this is a combination of Revelation 18 and Revelation 9. There's a beast. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting.
Color of the wings,
I know.
Yeah, the color of the wings is like, oh, what's
Gold.
that?
that's blue, white, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's white and blue.
That's
America.
France or something like that. Anyway. Okay. Now we continue. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit. Wow. We just finished Revelation 9 verse 1. Now we go to Revelation 9 verse 2. And he opened the smoke he opened the bottom split, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the pit. Now we've done this already, right? Yeah. So this will be a review of the smoke of the bottom split. So what is the sun? According to Malachi 4:2, is the Son of Righteousness, right? The Son of Righteousness is, Jesus says, I am the light. I am the Son of Righteousness. So it's Jesus, right? And then he said unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath. So the wind is the breath, right? And the breath is the wind, and the breath is the spirit. So this smoke covers the sun and the wind. So the sun and the wind is covered. All right, so let's see. So I actually I had to go back to the Quran and actually find where they actually taught this. Surah 3, verse 47. Verily, in the sight of God, the nature of Jesus is as the nature of Adam, whom he created out of dust, and then said to him, be, and he is. So Jesus is a created being, just like Adam, according to Surah 347. All right? Because some people say, okay, this is what we believe. Well, I gotta find it and put it here and see what they actually believe. So we got it in writing. Okay, where's another verse about so because they actually covered the truth about the Son, which is Jesus, and the truth about the Spirit, right? What did they say about the Spirit? Tafsir ibn Kathir. And we breathe into it, meaning private parts, through our ruh. Ruh is roh. Roh is spirit. Rohul Kudus. Kudus is holy. The Indonesian word for Holy Spirit is Arabic. Rohul Kudus. Roh Kudus. Yeah. We take it directly from, because we're a Muslim country, our words are Arabic. Meaning, through the angel Jibril. Through the angel Gabriel, Allah sent the angel Jibril to Maryam, and he came to her in the shape of a man in every respect. Every respect, he is a man. Yeah, every respect. Allah commanded him to blow into the gap of her garment, and that breath went into her womb through her private part. That is how Isa was conceived. So Gabriel is a man, is a right. So the Holy Spirit is Holy Spirit is Gabriel. The Holy Spirit is actually Gabriel, according to the Quran. All right. So that is how they actually. Oh no, they don't like it. They say that's a heresy. The Trinity is a heresy, according to Islam, right? Yeah. So that's. You like that animation? You gotta do it. You want to do it again, right? So they don't believe the smoke covers the spirit. I mean, the air covers the air and the sun, right? It covers the air and the sun. So what is left? The moon and the star, which is. All right. Okay. Continue. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven. Okay, we have a little summary. The fifth angel is the fifth trumpet, blowing the fifth trumpet, and the first woe is because of the trumpet, right? a star fall from heaven. So the false prophet Muhammad rises, and in 606 AD, the Pope actually declared as universal pastor or universal bishop. And the Saracens, the Persians, are attacking Eastern Rome, and Muhammad has rising, and he has the key of the bottomless pit. He has that knowledge, right? The key is the knowledge. He has the knowledge that those powers have to exhaust themselves, and then I can rise, and then the smoke can rise, right? The key is empowered after the Western defeats the Eastern kingdom, but both will be spent in the process. Byzantine Sassanid War was 602 to 628 AD. Battle of Nineveh was 627 AD. The entire Roman-Persian War was going from 92 BC to 629 AD for 721 years. Right. Yeah. So he's just watching and waiting for them, just to let them. Okay. So the bottom split is a void in darkness where there is no truth. The smoke is the rise and spread of Islam, which is by the sword like a cloud of locusts. And the smoke is their teachings and their religion. The sun in the air is the sun of righteousness and the spirit of Jesus. All right. Right.
Did Muhammad and them, obviously they had to build it before they could.
Well, they knew of the Jews, obviously. Yeah. They knew of the Jewish Torah and all that, and a lot of them they believe in Abraham. Obviously, they have to believe in Abraham. That's their father, right? I don't know that history, but he is married to many wives.
Yeah.
Some of them were only like 10 years old or something like when he married them. He had many wives, but
an older brother.
okay, yeah, that was we actually have that. But anyway, his rise was in around 606. 610, he actually goes into a cave and he receives, right, Gabriel comes to him and gives him writings that he writes down, and what he writes down is actually the Quran, right, starting in around 610.
Yeah, he was in a cave.
He was in a cave.
He was
Right.
drunk.
Yeah.
He got to bed drinking, and then he received those
Yes.
he writes it down.
He was hiding there because we're not supposed to drink.
That's right.
There's so many stories. It's amazing. I'm not really sure which one to believe. It's just I'm not sure exactly. But anyway, all right. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon earth, and to them was given power as the scorpions. Now we're going to go a little bit into Islam, right? This is now the description of Islam. The smoke is locusts, and they are given a power as the scorpions. All right. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and brought an east wind upon the land, and all the night, and when it was morning, the east wind brought in the locusts. So the east wind brings locusts, for they covered the face of the whole earth. Wow. Okay. Nahum 3, verse 15 to 17. There shall the fire devour thee, the sword shall cut thee off, it shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm, make thyself many as the locusts. Their locusts are many, and they have multiplied the merchants above the stars of heaven. The cankerworm spoils and fleeth away. Thy crown as the locusts, and the captains are the great grasshoppers. The locusts like the grasshoppers. And they camp in the hedges in the cold day, because you can't find them in the cold day. They're hiding. When the sun rises, when the truth comes up, they run away. And the place, and their place is not known where they are. That's all spiritual. And where is their sting? Right. Who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions. Right. Okay. And thou, son of man, be not afraid, neither be afraid of the scorpions. The scorpions are in the desert, and the desert is the Arabian in the wilderness. Okay. Now I gotta back up here a little bit. I made some notes. All right. I made some notes. I'm just gonna kind of try to summarize what happens. Right. Muhammad was about 40 years old when he received messages from Gabriel in a cave of Hira, near the town of Mecca. Right. That's why there's some friends who named their daughters Hira.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Near Mecca, and started the theocratic and monotheistic religion of Islam. His wife Khadija, that's the one, the wife. His wife was his first convert. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happened is now they're after Muslim dies, Muhammad dies. After Muhammad dies, the leaders are called caliphs.
Yeah.
And there's 4 caliphs, right? 4 caliphs. The first caliph is his father-in-law, because he married another the daughter. His first caliph is Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr, he married the daughter of Abu Bakr. And then there's other caliphs, I can't remember the name of them, but anyway, the fourth caliph is actually Ali. And Ali says, okay, all you other caliphs, you're actually not the real successor of Muhammad, because I'm the real one, because I'm actually have a same bloodline, because I'm the cousin of Muhammad. So he's actually Muhammad. So he says the real leader of the Muslims has to have a descendancy from Muhammad. So from there on, Ali, right, the descendants of Ali, now the leaders of Muhammad is actually have to be a descendant from Ali, because Ali is actually Ali is actually the cousin of Muhammad. So they're related. It has to stay in the family. The first 3 caliphs were all kind of like they were all voted in there, All right. The thing about Ali is that is called, now they are called the Party of Ali, the Shiite al-Ali, and becomes the Shiites. Yeah. Right. So the branch of, now we're going to go a little bit into that. How's our time? Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll have 2 more slides and then we'll stop, okay? Yeah, this is world history. A false religion was set up. Although the scourge of transgressions and idolatry filled the world with darkness and delusions, the swarms of Saracens like locusts overspread their earth and speedily extended their ravages over the Roman Empire from east to west. The hail descended from the frozen shores of Baltic. All right, that's the first trumpet. Right? Remember the hail? The burning mountain. That's the second trumpet. This is Uriah Smith. And then the locust, which is the 5th symbol of the Arabs, issued from Arabia, their native region. They came as destroyers, propagating a new doctrine and stirred up to rapine and violence by motives of interest in religion. All right, they came with a sword. All right, the first 3 caliphs was elected, was chosen and with consultation from the elders. All right, the 4th caliph is Ali, and he's the son-in-law of Muhammad. right? And he believed that the first three caliphs, they're really not, not the true leader, all right? So the follower of Ali is called Shiitu Ali, or the party of Ali, and these became the Shiites because they believe it has to be a descendant of Ali. All right? Okay. Right, so they were here. And these four caliphs, now they started to spread. They attacked. And they attacked with the sword. So they attacked and conquered Syria all the way into Iran and Iraq over here. Right? Iran and Iraq. And then in the 600s, they set up a dynasty called the Umayyad dynasty. And this dynasty is the one that actually went and conquered all the way into Spain and conquered all the way into this part, Europe, but then went to all the way to Armenia and Turkestan, went to India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, right? Because Pakistan and Bangladesh used to be India, but now they're divided up and became separate countries because they're Muslim, right? Bangladesh. And from there, where did they go? To one of the biggest countries in the world, Indonesia. The biggest country with the biggest Muslim population is in Indonesia.
Which type of Islam?
But it's a Sunni. Yeah, Indonesia is Sunni, actually.
The Shiites?
Okay, we'll go into a little bit like this. All right. So they conquered all these areas. All right. Okay. And I'm gonna give a little bit of, and then we'll stop. A little bit of a summary. Okay, this is what we need. 570, Muhammad was born, Ibn Abdullah in Mecca. In 606, the Edict of Focus proclaiming Bishop of Rome as universal pastor. In the meantime, Muhammad is rising up as the leader, right, of a new religion. And 610, he goes into a cave, Hira, and receives messages from Gabriel. And this is actually the birth of Islam, around 610. But 606 is actually important because that's when Rome actually, the Pope is actually proclaimed the Bishop of Rome, universal pastor, and that is the beginning of the fifth trumpet, right? So the understanding of the fifth trumpet starts blowing in 606. So the Byzantine-Sassanid War was from 602 628. And 622 is called the Hijrah. Hijrah is actually when you actually have to go to Mecca and go after Ramadan and go to Hajj. It's called the Hijrah. When you do that, you become a Haji, right? Then you can wear a cap. Yeah. That started with the Hijrah in 622. It's a very important year for the Muslims because Muhammad and his followers migrate from Mecca to Medina. Muhammad starts his political activities, and this is the beginning of the Islamic State, right? This is the start of the first jihad because now they are going to spread to other countries where Muslim law is not enforced, right? And they are now going to have a jihad war, conquer the world now. Right? That was, yeah. They're really not divided yet into Sunni and Shia. They're not yet divided. Okay, and 627 was the Battle of Nineveh, right? When Muhammad is watching them.
That's
Heraclius versus Chosroes, and they exhaust each other's powers. All right. In the meantime, Muhammad is watching, right? And the key of the bottomless pit, right, is when Muhammad gains that knowledge that now he can spread the smoke. 628, Muhammad sends a letter to Chosroes II. 632, Muhammad dies in Medina. And then the first caliph, which is Abu Bakr, he makes a declaration, right? He makes we're going to study that in Revelation 9, right? Because he declares that when you go into Syria and you fight in Syria, because now they're going to expand. This is now their first jihad. They're going to expand into other countries. When you go into Syria and you go to a monastery where they are not worshiping, where they are worshiping, and they worship on a different day than those who have shaven skulls, spare those people, but cleave those who have the shaven skulls, right? So this is Abu Bakr who declared that, and it is actually written in Revelation 9 verse 4. And then now in 661 is the schism into Sunni and Shiite in the founding of the Umayyad dynasty. And the Umayyad dynasty is the one that actually goes throughout all the areas. Now they start going all over the world. And then the Ottoman Empire is founded by King Osman. But now they have a king. Because before they never had a king. But now they have a king. And he's the king of the Ottoman Empire. And he starts invading the Byzantine Empire in a city called Nicomedia. And this is the first attack against the Byzantine Empire. So the fifth trumpet started blowing here. But now, the king of the Ottoman Empire, which is now Islam, which is Islamic power, invades into Byzantine Empire. When it starts invading, it is the beginning of the First War. And that date has been designated as July 27, 1299, according to the history by Edward Gibbon, right? So this is the beginning. So the pioneers, when they studied the trumpets and they studied the First War, they looked up the history in Edward Gibbon's book, and they saw that he puts down July 27 as when they started attacking. He knows that this is the beginning of the First War. They realized this is the beginning of the First War. Okay, one more slide. All right. What's the difference between Shiite and Sunni? Right? Shiite, remembers, they're the followers of Ali, which is the fourth caliph. The fourth caliph is actually, he's a bloodline. He's in the same blood as, because he's the cousin of Muhammad. All right. So they are the followers of Ali. Shiite to Ali becomes Shiite. Right? So the bloodline of Muhammad, and they're led by imams. Right? They're led by imams. This is very important to know, because you say Shiite and Sunni, I have no clue what's the difference. You don't really know. Most people don't even know. Even some of the senators who went to the Senate, and they were going to go, and we're going to go to war against Iran or Iraq, and they say, who's Shiite and who's, wait a minute, is Iraq Shiite or is Iraq Sunni? They don't even know. They're going to go to war. Anyway, the Shiites are led by imams now, right? In 874, the 12th imam disappears. The story is actually pretty interesting. He disappears. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I have to read it more carefully, because just to make this this kind of like a summary here, I had to read so many different sources just to find this out. And what happens is, the difference between Shiite and Sunni is that the Shiite, they accept only the Quran. All right, let's go back to the Sunni. The Sunni are the followers of Abu Bakr, the first caliph, and these are elected caliphs, right? Instead of being a bloodline, right? They're elected. And the caliphate continued even to the Ottoman Empire. So the Ottoman Empire is really Sunni, right? And in 1921, they were defeated by the Republic of Turkey. So Turkey now, rules in that area, right? Now they accept the traditions of Sunnah. Sunnah is basically like in the Catholic Bible is the Apocrypha, the traditions, kind of like what is added to the Quran. Quran is as if it's the Bible. The Sunnah is the Apocrypha, the traditions, the things that were written about Muhammad. Now they actually become as if it's like the Bible. The Apocrypha to the Bible is like the Sunnah to the Quran, right? They accept Orthodox traditional Sunnah, right? Here, the Shiite, they're more conservative. They said, no, we want to just go based on the Quran. Now, they have an imam. They're led by imams. And here, they're led by caliphs. Now, the Sunni believe there's the Mahdi, which is the rightly guided one, is yet to emerge. There's a Mahdi that is going to come, right? The Shiite believes that the Mahdi to return from hiding is the Ayatollah. Ayatollah Khomeini from what? Iran? Right.
Yeah.
He's the 12th Imam that has come back. Now the Shiites are in Iran, Iraq, and Azerbaijan and Pakistan, right? So this is right. This is Iran right here. This is Iran, right?
Yeah.
This is Iraq. Iran and Iraq. Oh boy, people are gonna laugh at me because of my geography here. It's a little bit suspect. All right, but anyway, this is Iran and Iraq right in this area. All right, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, and the Hezbollah. Hezbollah is in Syria. Okay, this is Syria, right? This is Syria. Hezbollah in Syria. Hezbollah are Shiites, right? And there's the 12 verse. The 12 verse are the ones that are waiting for the 12th Imam to come back. Are preparing for the Mahdi, the 12th Imam, to return. And the amazing thing about this, that these 12ers believe that when he returns, he is going to assist Jesus at the coming of at Jesus' second coming to fight the Antichrist. Can you imagine? Right? Think about this. The 12ers believe that the 12th Imam, he's going to come and join up with Jesus to fight the Antichrist. Doesn't that sound as if it was Armageddon? Right? They believe, right? Because there's going to be a fight between the Antichrist, right? It's a spiritual fight. The Antichrist and the beast, the dragon, the false prophet, are going to join together in Armageddon and fight.
So I guess you have to say that the Shiite are like Catholics, and the Sunni are like.
It's almost. So there's so many things in the religion that you like to read that's so similar to Jewish, the Bible. So many things. All right.
Well, of them are Sunni.
Yeah.
You have a higher number.
So most of the world is 85% is
Sunni.
Sunni.
Yeah.
Al Qaeda is Sunni. The Muslim Brotherhood is Sunni.
Osama bin Laden. Pakistan. Yeah.
But Pakistan is more into Bible.
Right. So it's kind of like different. It's a little different. Yeah. But the Hezbollah, which is that's why the Hezbollah in Syria is being funded by Iran, right? And they're fighting to destroy Israel, right? Yeah. Indonesia, look at a dream.
But they're
Sunni.
mostly Sunni. Indonesia, they're Sunni.
Like way more conservative.
Like she is.
Shiite seems more conservative.
What is on the top? Philippines? The
Thai.
green- Oh, Thai?
The white one.
Oh, here, Philippines is
Those
right
are
here.
Philippines,
I
yeah.
mean the small Islam group above Indonesia.
Huh? Oh, I mean Sabah?
Yeah,
That's why this is Malaysia.
That's what they.
Malaysia and Sabah, that's part of Malaysia.
Over there.
On top of what
Yeah, that one.
And this is,
Oh, the one,
Oh, you- the
that
one near
Japanese,
India.
the white.
Separate by the white.
Over there.
Yeah.
That
right
one.
there.
oh, this is, no. This is Pakistan over here. This is Bangladesh.
Oh,
Bangladesh is Muslim.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, very Muslim. Yeah. Boy, our geography needs to be improved. We need a geography test. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, we will continue this on later on. Okay. All right. So
So, that's it.
we'll pause this. All right. Hold on. We'll pause this first.